Hello everybody, it's that college football guy here, another video. I have a lot more videos coming up with what could have beens for realignment ideas that were suggested by multiple people. We got on there, but I'm going to push pause on that for a little bit. I do want to give one shout out right off the top of the Big Mountain Podcast. Reason being, I was going to do a video about how the fact that Florida State made all their motions in discovery and the ACC rejected to every single one of them. I'm like, man, but kind of knew it was expected. I was going to do a video on that one, and then I just saw the fact that I just watched the one they just put out not too long ago, which was a hell of a lot better than the one I had planned. So, good job, gentlemen. As always, like, they're primarily the Big Ten and the Mountain West, but this ACC lawsuit, because it could affect the Big Ten and potentially the Mountain West, like if Mountain West Pac-12 merger or the Oregon State, Washington State, if they go to the ACC, that does affect the Mountain West. So they cover this in great detail. They've had lawyers on before, and they're going in detail on it again. So if you want to know about this in far more detail than I ever could, check out the Big Mountain Podcast. They just put the video up today. Let them know I sent you. Nah, I really don't mind about that. But, yeah, they're nailing this. But we're talking about this one was an idea from Chris Sadowski. What are UNC's options? What are they? I mean, we've seen the lawsuit from Florida State. We've now seen the lawsuit from Clemson. North Carolina's quiet. Are they, what I think, maybe judging the landscape? Let's see what happens here. Or are they, like I said, there's landscape, maybe then file their suit, or are they going to wait? Wait to see. I mean, wait to see what's going to happen here. I mean, like, if you think about it, like, if Florida State and Clemson leave, what's the ACC going to do to respond, if anything? What's ESPN going to do to respond? Is the TV deal going to go down? Are they going to opt out or not opt out? I've had people tell me that the option doesn't exist, but I have multiple people in the media who says it does. So, I'm like, okay. But then again, that's the trade secrets bit. The fact that that was leaked is what ESPN, one of the things they're complaining about. But let's look. Realistically, I've gone through quite a bit of notes on this, and there's 4 options. I mean, they're in no particular order. You can make them into whatever you want. First option is obviously, and I think for most of North Carolina, would be to stay in the ACC. The ACC still be viable. But I want to let a little something know in full disclosure. When it comes to ACC information, I do have somebody on the inside. And actually, it's at North Carolina. Let me explain. I've known him. Yeah, it's been 25 years. About to be 26. Man. I'm trying to remember. Looking at my notes here. He grew up in North Carolina, lived there all of his life, went to a university, not North Carolina, to get a degree. His dream job was to be working at the University at North Carolina education system and to be at UNC, and he got a job a few years ago at North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He got at UNC. He got it at the main campus. He got it. He is not directly affiliated with the athletic department, but let's just say that he's around the athletes quite a bit, not necessarily around those in the athletic department. And this subject has come up over the past, what do you tell me, 9-10 months? How often this has come up, and what's been brought up. Now, he did mention the fact that all the athletes he talked to, none of them were on the men's basketball team, and none of them were on the football team. They were other athletes. I asked him how many. He said over 40. Okay. What was the consensus? They want to stay in the ACC. This is from the student-athlete perspective. The ones he talked to, this is not a scientific study, but they wanted to stay in the ACC. They want to stay where they've been. And the academics, everything on there. And I asked him the question, and I had talked to him about this a while back, and then Chris brought this up in a comment. And I know it's been a while, Chris, and I apologize for taking a while. when I asked him to send him in an email, like, okay, reminded me about it. Have you heard anything about what they would rather do? And yesterday he finally answered me back, which is the reason why I finally got an answer. So I jumped this to the front of the list, because this is basically on their ass. What would they rather do? Would they rather stay? Would they rather go somewhere? Where would they rather be? You know, I didn't ask him to rank them, but he said, you know, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. But what do they think? Number one option, overwhelmingly, ACC. Stay. Even if they lose Florida State and Clemson, they still feel you get some schools. The rumor, I thought, they don't want Oregon State and Washington State in the conference. They don't want them. They would rather have something closer to home, because of the so this is of the athletes who are not on the football team and not in men's basketball. So these aren't the money-making sports, so to speak. So you could just take this for what it is. But what was about here? Athletes said that if someone makes a, quote, a boneheaded decision to leave the ACC, if they had to choose, they'd rather it be the SEC because it's closer to home and closer to family. That is the most important. When he asked about the Big Ten, they said the Big Ten or the Big 12, would those be interested? They said the idea of they didn't like the idea of traveling all the way to Utah, but it's a lot shorter of a trip than going to Seattle or LA. They didn't like the idea of the long trips. When asked all of them what are they worried about, were they worried about academics? No, they're worried about being stuck on a plane for too long. That was their concern. Being traveled, plane, whatever, stuck too long. That's what they were worried about. Plane, bus, whatever. That's what they were worried about. That was their number one concern. If they had to, this is from the student-athlete perspective only. If they, basically, when he got a consensus, he told me that of all of them, like 90%, 95% want to stay in the ACC. Some do figure it's going to happen, we're going to be leaving. But of all those who about leaving, SEC, so of that, if you ask the question again, who was the number one option? SEC had about 70% of the vote. Here's what shocked me. The Big 12 had about 20%. The Big 10 had about 10%. Because the Big 12, even though it's spread out, is closer to home than this. Like I said, travel is their number one concern. So the number two option, that's all the number one option of staying in the ACC. Number two option, the SEC. Now, the SEC and the Big 10 are options 2 and 3. This is no particular order. This is about the fact that it's going to be money, and this is where money is going to be going here. And they all resign themselves to the fact that going to the Big 12 is the most remote possibility of them all. Nothing's impossible. They say maybe like a 1% chance, but there's no way. There's no way this is going to. They all know it's going to the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10 passing. It's not happening. They said unless we got to take North Carolina State with us, and we don't want to drag a bunch of wolves behind us. Just a little hatred there, a little bit, but it's an in-state rivalry. Should be that surprised. But SEC is mainly the only reason that they're more favored than them. It's closer to home. That is the most appealing thing for North Carolina. It's closer to home. You don't have to travel as far. Cuts down the expenses. The Big 10. The academics in North Carolina, what my bud talked to, they want to go to the Big 10. The administration, the few he talked to. I'm guessing probably 2, since he didn't say that many. Wanted to go to the Big 10, which is not a surprise because the academics here, it's higher prestige. We have a higher academic standing. But the travel for the athletes is going to be bad. And then of course the Big 12. Why could this be an option? It's the last option money-wise. It's not on there if they get passed on there, but I'm going to list it. It technically is an option, so I'm listing it anyway. The Big 12 technically is there. I mean, it would be ACC for basketball-wise would be good. The academics are not. Travel's not as good. It's the last option and the most remote by far. It technically is not impossible, but it's 1% or less than 1%. So what do I think is going to happen? I don't know, because we don't know how if they're going to file a lawsuit or not. I mean, I've been with thought, unless UNC, if UNC does not file a lawsuit, I don't see anybody else leaving right now. I think North Carolina, I honestly think, based upon the way this is shaking out, if they don't jump right now, and they don't see what Florida State and Clemson do, they may wait to see what ESPN does. Does ESPN extend? Does ESPN want other athletes? And what I said for the student athletes at North Carolina, the ones that he talked to, he said a little more than 80% of them said if they ended up in the Big Ten, they'd hit the portal. They do not want to travel that far. They'll go to SEC schools or maybe drop down if they had to, in order to stay closer to home. Because they know they're not going to go pro. This is about getting a quality education and being close to family. So, and I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're the non-revenue generating sports anyway. Now, I would love to have gotten some opinions from the football team and the basketball team, but since they jump around the portal so much, would it really have had much battling? I mean, the Olympic sports athletes, they're the ones who really don't move. They stay primarily because there's not that many endorsement deals unless you're a very beautiful woman who's going to get, like, I forgot her name from LSU, who plays ball, I think it's on there from Texas A&M, who have got double million, 8-figure NIL deals because of their looks. Unless you're that, you're not going to get any NIL money. So, most likely. Like I said, I don't know what UNC is going to do. I have no idea. I mean, I know they prefer to stay. But I think they're going to wait to see what ESPN does. Because if ESPN doesn't extend the deal and they don't find out that the money's going to be a lot less, okay, now we're all going to get screwed. And then it's going to be NC State. And somebody brought this up to me. Do you think NC State's going to go to the SEC if North Carolina goes to the Big? I don't think so. But how desperate do you want to be in North Carolina? Do you want to take NC State under your wing and prove that they're better, just to shove it down the Big Ten's throat? Egos go a long way in college athletics, especially in college football. So we'll see. But why don't you let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments? So thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't done already, do me a favor. Smash the thumbs up. Hit that like button. Do me a big favor. Helps with the algorithm. Helps the video be seen by more people. Comment on the video. Do you agree with the student athlete's opinion? How would you rank these as most likely scenarios or as options? Staying in the ACC, going to the Big 10, going to the Big 12, going to the SEC. I mean, pretty much everything with the Big 12 is dead last as an option. 1 through 3 is going to change. Big 12 is at the bottom. The only way I could say Big 12 being more viable if North Carolina State are a package deal. If they are, the Big 10's out. The SEC, maybe. Maybe. Get them both, be done. Because I got news for you. If they have to take North Carolina and North Carolina State and they agree to it, I don't think they're adding anybody else. They're done. They wouldn't add anybody else. Everybody else is out of luck. I mean, they would forget about Clemson. So it was like, ugh, really? But we'll see about that. So let me know what you think about this, and let me know how'd you rank them down in the comments. Share the video if you want to. And if you haven't done it already, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Just past 500 subscribers, on the way to 600. Hopefully we can get ourselves up to a better place soon. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you're having a great day. Be careful out there, and please be good to each other.